WoodwardSports.com chat thread. Adam Coleman, football is inching closer, slowly bricking up. Well, you know what? Unleash the brick, because here we are. It is time. We're kicking it off. The Lions nickel package. Yes. 5 questions about your Detroit Lions. Let's do it.
All right, first question of the Lions nickel package. How big of a jump do you expect from Alim McNeill this season?
I mean, the weight thing that they're talking about is real. And interesting side note that I haven't heard a lot of people discuss. We talked about on the show. Slim down, not necessarily lighter. That was the goal. Alim McNeill still said he wants to play at 325. So this was a guy
like Aaron Donald out there.
That's what I'm saying. And like, look, we saw it with Alim McNeill, right? Like, was he this big bright shooting star? But to me, Alim McNeill, I know that I talk about Penei Sewell, how he's the one that turned this whole mentality around. But Alim McNeill was the first one that was here that put numbers in the columns. Remember I talked about that at the very beginning, even through the 3-13 year. I was like, when he plays, there's numbers in the column.
I remember that.
After his name in the box score.
Those were grim times.
I'm not used to that.
Yeah.
Like, guys come in here, like guys who aren't first round picks come in here and do that. That's wild to me. I'm excited to see what it is. Now, believe it or not, you do have to learn how to play like that, because it is different. But I'm hopeful it's a big jump. I mean, it'll take a minute. And Alim McNeill's not Aaron Donald. He's not a superstar. You win with guys like Alim McNeill, though, that do something.
Yeah, I actually expect a pretty big jump out of Alim McNeill as well. When I heard about him losing all of that body fat, I didn't just like it. I loved it. I think that opens up a possibility for him to be more agile in the middle, to maybe be a guy who actually puts up bigger counting numbers, actually provides more interior pressure. It wouldn't shock me at all. Last year he had 1 sack, 6 tackles for loss, and 7 QB hits. It wouldn't shock me if he pumps those sack numbers up to maybe 3 and has double-digit tackles for loss and QB hits, while also providing very good interior presence in the run game. Alim McNeill is a guy that I think could really benefit this season, could really break out. And I wonder if the front office and the coaching staff had more confidence in Alim McNeill than we ever thought. And maybe that played into them not going after a Jalen Carter when they had a chance, not going after Kalijah Kancey or Brian Brzee when they had the chance. Maybe they thought they were better off than we thought they were all along. And maybe this is Alim McNeill's year to show it. Wouldn't shock me at all.
I like it.
Second down.
I like it. Second question of the nickel package: which side of the ball will have more Pro Bowlers for the Detroit Lions?
I saw that question in the rundown, and like, you're instantly trained to say offense, because whenever you hear Pro Bowl, that's what you think, is that it's instantly offense. I think that's going to rest on Kirby Joseph, because this is a Kirby Joseph zone right here. Yes. Who, by the way, was rocking the free JMO shirt yesterday.
Oh, yeah, he was.
That was pretty tight.
That was dope.
And he talked about it too, because he got asked about it. And then he was made a bunch of non-comments about it. It was perfect.
Kirby's the man.
Kirby is the man. Does Kirby have that in him to do it the way we've been hyping him up?
Maybe. Wouldn't shock me.
When it doesn't matter what Spenny sets the over at with he's like over under interceptions for Kirby Joseph 15. We're over.
Well,
like it doesn't. There isn't a line that you can set. You know, it's because I think Hutch will be there, right? You told me that.
Yes,
Hutch will be there.
I think so.
It rides on Houston following it up, and it rides on Kirby Joseph.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson will be there.
He'll be there because of a body of work.
Cam Sutton.
You see what I'm saying? Like, if these two, if the two young bucks take another jump this year and get there, it's stunning to me that I'm going to sit here and tell you on the defensive side of the ball, but it could be.
Wow. See, I'm going offense, and I actually am surprised that you guys are going defense, because to me on the offense, there are 3 that are basically baked-in guarantees for me. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Frank Ragnow, and Penei Sewell. I think that they're going to be shoo-ins. I'd also expect Jared Goff to potentially make it, especially given that Ben Johnson is coming back, the offensive line is still intact, David Montgomery, Jameson Williams is going to play for the last 11 games, and then maybe Jonah Jackson, who has made a Pro Bowl. The Lions have had 5 offensive players on this roster that have made Pro Bowls. The defense, believe it or not, 0. I expect Aiden Hutchinson to do it. I think that he would be the most likely, but even C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he has never made a Pro Bowl.
Well, he wouldn't have made it last year if they weren't in the Super Bowl.
Well, it's listed on the website that he didn't make it. So I thought that even if he would have, if he just didn't go because of the Super Bowl, they would have listed it. But you know what? Maybe he obviously deserved it. I think he had a season worthy of it. Cam Sutton has never made a Pro Bowl. There's more unknowns. Kirby Joseph, I'm a fan of his as well, but you just don't know. With the offense, there's guys that have done it, and you know what you're going to get from them. And obviously, I don't see anyone in the linebacking core getting it. Maybe James Houston if he has another crazy sack season. I got to go offense.
WoodwardSports.com chat thread, Shane Sandrock says, I think Kirby gets 6 picks at least. He gets 6 picks. He's a Pro Bowler.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson got 6 last year. And according to what I've been looking at, he wasn't. And I'm not saying that he didn't deserve it. I'm not saying that Kirby wouldn't deserve it. But it doesn't guarantee you anything.
He gets 6 picks. They're going to win the division.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
He'll go to the Pro Bowl.
Okay, you know what? That parlay I could see. Yes.
I'm glad I could change your mind. Steve Wild says, Aleem McNeil had the highest PFF grade ever by a defensive tackle against the Giants last year. And, Steve, I'll allow it because it fits my narrative
there. He had 13 pressures in that game.
And I'll go to it, and I'll accept a PFF comparison because it fits my narrative.
That's fair.
When it does not fit my narrative, I dismiss PFF and say, oh, I hear that all the time from PFF.
Yeah.
PFF has become the ultimate, football political talking point, man, where you use it when it suits you, you dismiss it when it doesn't. It's wild to me.
Well, I was talking about it, and I was Spenny, you were talking about it. For that game against the Giants last year, he was Aaron Donald, he was Chris Jones, he was Quinnen Williams.
He was as good as anybody in the league.
100%.
Yeah.
So not shocking at all that PFF rated him as the highest defensive tackle for that game.
The biggest down in the game, third down.
Third down. Third question of the nickel package. Who will finish second on this team in receiving yards?
Jameson Williams.
Yeah.
The longer this goes on, and look, I know it's practice clips, but guys, I'm telling you, I've got a pretty good eye for this kind of stuff. He looks different than everybody else out there. You know what I'm saying? His release from the line of scrimmage, his top-end speed, his acceleration. Guys, I'm telling you, man, I know you're upset about the gambling stuff and all that kind of, and what tweets he likes and things like that, or gram posts he likes. I know that upsets you and everything like that. When you open the garage, this man's a Ferrari. He is an absolute Ferrari, man. I'm telling, he is going to be big.
You know what, Neal? You are absolutely right. I agree. And part of it, for me, goes into the fact that they don't have another guy that I would be confident being a true number 2. I think that Josh Reynolds can do it in spurts. Khalif Raymond was their second leading receiver last year, and he's back. They don't really have a number 1 tight end, although we hope it's Sam Laporta, but I don't expect huge production from him next year. Jameson Williams, I agree with you. I am a little bit concerned with his usage and the fact that he's going to miss a ton of games, first year with injury and this year with gambling, but I expect him to come back and be the player that we all hoped he would.
And guess what?
Yes.
None of us will care.
Absolutely
the people that
absolutely
are shaking
not.
their fist in the air, J-Mo! They'll be like, yeah, J-Mo!
But he has to do it first. And I think that that's fair, and I think we would all agree with that, but I expect him to. I'm one of those people that Jameson Williams, I've said that. I've never seen anyone quite like him in college. I like to watch Alabama games. I've always liked to watch Alabama games, so I saw a lot of Jameson Williams. He's a complete receiver, but he's also the fastest man on every single field he basically walks onto. And he's going to be that in the NFL. How could he not be
in the streets,
productive?
they would call him a Rari.
Yeah.
Yes.
True.
Because that man is all Ferrari. I cannot wait.
Justin Slanik would say he's blazing.
He's blazing.
Yeah.
It is, though. Even last year, he is the first. See, Calvin was different because it wasn't speed.
It didn't. Calvin had speed, but it didn't look like, because just the long strides, and the fluidity of it. Yeah. J-Mo's got the explosiveness.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm saying, even last year, when he got the ball those 3 times and scored a touchdown all 3. I know it's not the narrative that you've been given. The narrative is, he had 1 catch. You're not going to miss 1 catch.
Yeah.
Or you can look at it from the perspective I do, say he touched the ball 3 times in the NFL and scored a touchdown all 3 times he touched it. 1 got called back on a penalty. The other one, they said he was down at the half-yard line when he wasn't, and they didn't care. They just ran it in anyway. He is exciting. He's the most exciting Lion I've seen since Barry. just in the anticipation of him getting the ball. He is Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Like, I feel about him, I watch Tyreek Hill because I'm excited to see him play. I'm not asking him to raise my kids or anything like that. I'm not asking him to do anything in the community.
Yeah.
He's exciting to watch play.
Asking him to play football. And he's really good at that.
That's it. That's all.
Yeah.
And then at 4:15, he's done playing football, and I'll see you next Sunday. You know? Like, that. He's exciting, man. Like, I can't wait for him.
Oh, yeah, and when we're talking about receiving yards, he's one of those guys that you could see him have a stat line in a couple of games of even 2 catches for 80 yards, and that will go a long way with pumping up his receiving yards numbers.
And that was where I was driving at. That will be an off game for him. 2 catches for 80 yards with no touchdowns.
I mean, if that's an off game for him, we're talking about him being one of the best receivers in the NFL going forward, which I believe he has the talent to. I really do.
Detroit Supremacy says DeAndre Hopkins will be second.
I'd like to hear that.
So there's that one as well.
That was a sneaky answer I was thinking about giving, but I held off. So.
I understand he's beginning his tour, his recruiting tour, or whatever. So Wyatt Bear says Ford versus Ferrari was based on Jameson Williams. So
that's true.
Yeah. People Pleaser says Calvin ran a 4.3, bulldozed safeties, and jumped over 3 defensive. No, he explosive speed. You just didn't.
Yeah, Calvin was fast. He was really, really fast.
Yeah.
But, like, it didn't look like he was running that fast, but he was.
Justin Ford says you can't meet ride J-Mo until he plays. Well, he did play. He got the ball 3 times in an NFL game and scored a touchdown all 3 times. Go look it up. Go watch the plays. So, yeah, what other guy has that kind of impact?
And was underthrown on one more.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can meet ride him because he has played 3 games. It's Big Package Friday.
Big Package
It's built on meat riding.
Absolutely.
4th down.
So, next question of the Lions nickel package. Coming out of camp yesterday, Penei Sewell is taking a more vocal leadership role as requested by his teammates. Like, obviously, right? It's got to happen.
You guys, I want a recording of it. Anytime Penei Sewell becomes a conversation and you just push the button to get my statement on it.
Yeah.
This guy will be the one. He will be the first one that gets the Lombardi Trophy when they win it. Ooh. Think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
He's the dude already. They're looking to, like, look at this. And I don't even know that they're looking to. It's just understood.
His teammates told him that he needs to speak up more.
And he probably doesn't because he's like, oh, well, I'm a young, I'm a young player.
Yeah.
And, it's not my time. It's not my place. Guys, you know my feelings on this man. This is the guy that turned it all over. It was Brad Holmes, but on the field, Penei Sewell, mark my words. Much like I said, Nikola Jokic is the best player in the game 4 years ago when I was mocked and scorned, notably by the Data Davis people. Mark my words. 5 years from now, this man will be a cornerstone, not only in the National Football League, but in Detroit Lions lore.
You know what? And I will agree with that in 5 years. And Penei Sewell, he's arguably the best player on the team, pound for pound, position for position. He's the type of guy that I could see being an all-pro in the next couple of years. There's only a handful of guys on the Lions that have that kind of impact, and he plays the position on the unit that is the best Detroit Lions unit, and he's the guy that made it elite. So yeah, this isn't shocking at all. Penei Sewell is elite, and he is one of the best players on the team, arguably the best player on the team. So yeah, I love it.
Mr. K. Wells Forrest says Neal gets bricked up for Sewell.
Yes, you do.
I'm talking full-on masonry, full-on, like if you're going to I could build a deck with it.
That's fair. That's fair. Real quick, last question of the Lions nickel package. Who finishes with more passing yards next year, Jared Goff or Geno Smith?
It's got to be Goff. It's got to be. Please, for my sake. Hey, Goff, look, if you finish with less passing yards than Geno Smith, assuming everybody plays the same amount of games, then please win a playoff game. So then that way people can take the trick, but I'll come back with the Bauer and slam it on the table and say, hey, I made the point.
Oh, yeah.
Please. It's Goff, right?
But with this version of Geno, there's no real shame in losing out to him on passing yards, which is a stat that is selectively more important than other times. I actually think it's going to be Geno Smith who has more. And to me, it's more about working backwards. I think Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are 2 guys you can pretty much pencil in for 1,000 yards. You're going to get 23 to 2,500 yards between the 2 of them, and they just added Jackson Smith and Jigba, who could end up being the best wide receiver from this entire class. The Lions, at least in the first 6 games, they're Amon-Ra St. Brown and a bunch of dudes. No disrespect to Josh Reynolds and old Marvin Jones or Khalif Raymond or even rookie Sam Laporta. I just think with all the weapons that the Seattle Seahawks have, even with Kenneth Walker catching passes out of the backfield, I would go with Geno Smith.
Real quick, Shane Sandrock, simping for Sewell. Yes, I could redo the roads in my whole subdivision into brick.
Yes, you could.